before Faces, you come to LA, you've got basically almost a turnkey situation because you're connected, you got a suitcase full of cameras, but you had other stuff going on that we never really touched on earlier. What was going on?
Well, shooting concerts is not something that can keep you going forever, so that was fun. That was just always a lot of fun. And shooting rock and roll was a blast in those days. Because you got to meet these people, you know, and you become friends with them, and you hang out with them, you go to the bars, and yada, yada, yada. And, but it's hard to make a living doing that. So I actually had another job. Actually, it was more of a full-time job. And I worked with a filmmaker named John Cassavetes. And he was finishing Woman Under the Influence. And his company, interesting enough, is his company was called Faces International. And so here I am coming over to shoot the Faces, and here's Faces and Faces. It was just like, to me, it was like, that's it. I'm doing the right thing.
That's fantastic. Now, how long did that go on for Cassavetes?
I was with Cassavetes for like 5 or 6 years.
Consistently doing all the still shots.
Oh, yeah.
On all the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the rock and roll thing was just to fill in the blanks.
Well, no, because I split my time. I mean, if I went on the road with Rod for 2 or 3 days or something like that, and then I'd have to take time off from that. But it usually worked itself. The balance was great. And John was very, not so much flexible, but when you worked with him, you worked 12, 20 hours a day or something like that. And there was no really taking time off. You had to stay there and get it done. And if you needed time off, that was okay.
So in between all of this, you were able to squeeze in, you go from Rod, you got Blondie.
Yeah, in fact, it was, John's office equipment that we used to shoot the Blondie film.
The one on the beach.
The one on the beach, yeah.
That was all.
Well, we had a flatbed moviola there to cut it with, and all the editing equipment. We actually had to rent a camera to shoot that. We had I forget what it was. It was either an Arri. It was a 16 millimeter, so it was either an Arri or I can't think of it. Eclair.
Okay, so that was what, 77?
That was 77, and we did 3 or 4 shows. Some at the Whiskey A Go-Go, some at the Starwood, which is no longer there, and put it all together at Faces. So John's office.
So that's good. So you were a little bit subsidized that way. That's cool. So then you go from there to the Van Halen thing in '78. But in the meantime, you were still doing the movies with him, because it seems like it was a bit more sporadic on the rock and roll.
Well, actually not, because in those days, by that time, I was shooting not only for Warner Brothers, but Chrysalis. Who else? Oh, A&M.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was pretty busy, but it wasn't always, concert shots where I could do things and so forth. And a lot of it was, just camera work in those days. Publicity.
Going on the road with Van Halen in '78, that wasn't concert stuff either, really.
No, and that was one of the nuts and bolts kind of jobs that you did. Not unfortunately, it was great. But this is the kind of job that just turned into something great. It was just a wonderful 2 weeks of just hitting these radio stations and, just hanging out day in and day out while they were promoting their first single.
You really got me.
Yeah.
Fantastic cover.